All right, wholesale weekly update number 22. Let's talk about some of the deals that we were dealing with this week. One of them was in Texas. It was Huntsville. This was a for sale by owner. It was actually a lead that I didn't even necessarily really want to call because usually if something's listed or for sale by owner, in my mind, like it's on the market, it's already been seen pretty heftily, and I don't know. There's a little bit of just like mindset that's like I don't really want to call those, but I ended up calling it. I think this was a Facebook lead, and basically I understood the situation of what was going on. He actually had multiple properties that he was trying to offload. The goal was for him to be able to retire. He was a physical therapist, and his goal is to really just like he wants that freedom when he actually retires. He doesn't want to deal with the property. He gave me the idea that like even right now, he will drive by this property almost every single day just to make sure that everything's still good. So I did pull a lot of motivation that was out there. I understood the situation, the gravity of what he was trying to accomplish, and when he was trying to accomplish it. Um, he just, one of the biggest things with him was he was set on the number. He was really big on a specific number. So he was at 150 listed on the market. I got him down to 125. I honestly think that reality, it probably needs to be closer to 100. I did pitch the transparent wholesale aspect, like, hey, let me get this in front of buyers for you, even though it's listed on the market. Let's see what the market dictates and what kind of feedback we can get on it. So I did send him over a contract. He is looking over it and basically, seeing everything that he wants within it. I told him that there's things that we could adjust in there if need be. We'll see what happens with that one. I think that we're still a little bit high at the 125, but I'd be willing to kind of see what kind of feedback we could get and just test it for a little bit. Another property is in Minnesota. This is another, I've had a conversation with him about a week or two ago. Again, it was probably I needed it roughly around 100,000, and I think that that's a deal that we can move at. It's pretty rural. It's like a lake kind of area, and his property's not on the lake. It's kind of on the outskirts. So you got some $1 million valuation things. Then you got some things that are roughly around the 180 to 200 stuff. And with his in his situation, there's a whole story that's going on with the divorce, with kids that are still in the property, some damage. He's, you know, renovating the property, but he's said multiple times that he's running out of money to deal with it, and he would just kind of like to do somewhat of a quick sell. So again, this was a transparent aspect of like, hey, let me get this in front of the buyers. Let's see what kind of feedback we can get. He is hell bent on getting it at 120. Um, I don't have the exact reason why he wants the 120, but I think we're in a spot where we're close and there might be a buyer that we can find that'd be willing to do that 120. So I sent the contract on there. He's got to get that approved from his wife as well. He understands that this is like a wholesale transaction as well that we're looking at trying to see if we can find the end buyer for him. Another deal was in Connecticut. Connecticut has regulations to where you have to be licensed, kind of like Oregon. I reached out to Matt Levin on this one because um, I forget the specific reason why I did, but he actually knows some people in the area, and he actually I think he responded to my Facebook post that I put out there in the TU Facebook group. Anyway, he has some people that are connected out there. We actually had somebody walk it in that aspect. So that's interesting. We'll see what kind of comes from there. That seller is a little bit more difficult. He's just going down a list, and he wants the highest price based off the list, but also a sense of certainty. We'll see what happens with that one. The seller is a good guy. He's a talker for sure, and I think that it's a probate situation as well. So I mean, it was his brother that passed away. He ended up inheriting it. It was kind of somewhat of a hoarder situation, but the property's in good condition. And I think, he has the ability to move it. I think he just wants it on his terms of getting a specific price. Another property, this is an interesting one. No contract was sent on this one. This is in West Texas. This is a lead that came in property leads. It's been in my system for 111 days. I've reached out to this person 66 times. We've had one conversation before where we were supposed to follow back up. That never came through. This was a probate situation. His mother died. He he is living in the property. There are other heirs. He couldn't afford to do the actual probate, and this was, months ago now at this point. And apparently, I finally I kept calling him. I kept texting him. I just had another voicemail that I left with him the other day. And for whatever reason, that sparked interest for him. And we scheduled to talk on Friday. We had a great conversation, understood where he was at in his situation with what's going on. Probate is still not there. He wants to kind of do the probate situation. We just really explored the options that an affidavit of heirship is a possibility that we could do. The siblings are all on board, so it is something that we could definitely make it happen. But we walked through the options. He could do the probate, and then he could go through and try to fix it up himself and try to get top dollar. He told me that he had an offer. He thought it was a lowball offer. We walked through the numbers together. I showed him what I'm seeing on the market. He agreed with everything I was saying. He threw out a repair number that I also agreed with, and he understood why the offer that original person gave out like quite a bit of time ago was actually a reasonable offer. And I said that I'd probably be within that same range as a cash offer as well. But we walked through the different options of him doing the probate, him going through the repairs. We walked through the process of if we were to come in and get this sold for him or buy it, essentially, that this is what this could look like. And so it was an eye opener for him. There was no like close. There was no like you have to do this and we're the people that are going to do it for you. But these are your options. He has a light on it. We also uncovered within that there's like a 20,000 tax lien, $20,000 tax lien that's also on there. So that's coming due in January. So we really tried to unpack it. And I said, what burden do you want to deal with? Do you want to try to get the highest price by going through and dealing with the headache and dealing with this for the next year and a half and energy and effort and all the stuff that goes into it? Or do you just want to be done? He didn't necessarily just want to be done because he's going to have to split the proceeds of the sale after the $20,000 with the other heirs. He believes that if he does the probate, he will get the full ownership of the property and then he could net more by doing that. So what we agreed with was get the probate done. I'll call you back in 6 months. And he said, you have literally first dibs 100%. Call me back in 6 months, 9 months, whatever it takes on the probate. Figure out the tax lien before January, and then we'll have another conversation whether we want to sell it at that point or whether we want him to continue the work and try to get top dollar for it. So interesting conversation. It took me 66 dials, 66 times calling this person over 111 days to kind of get to a culmination of an end on that one, which really all it did was push it out a little bit further. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. There are 2 contracts that I sent out the week before. One of them I reached back out to this week, hasn't signed it. He's with his grandkids right now. He said to give him a call next week. We'll see what happens with that. Another one is just a little old lady who I think technology is just a little bit more difficult. She's got a little bit of heartaches. Her leg's not doing super hot. So there's no rush on that with her. Her situation's a little bit different too, because I think the numbers probably aren't panning out too much, but again, both of these are transparent wholesales. They know exactly what I'm attempting to do, how I'm trying to do it. They're just both in kind of rural markets. Then to go to a call that I had this weekend. So this is like, this was a terrible call. I hated every second of it. This was the Georgia deal that I have going on right now. They ended up calling me. I talked about this probably last week, and it was a hard conversation. They called me out on the web of lies that I've kind of gone through. This is where the need to be transparent is critical and crucial. They called me out on all the BS that was going through. I never explained that we were doing an assignment of contract. They just they were very upset. They had every right to be, and I fully understand that and fully get it, and hated every second of the idea that I just kept going down this rabbit hole. And it's interesting because I did this in the aspect because I knew that we could close. But it still doesn't defeat the way that it made them feel and how this whole process has been. So, I mean, not to dig into it crazily, but like it was a hard conversation on Saturday night. I hated every second of it. I was very heartfelt, very apologetic. I genuinely am and genuinely was. I wish that it didn't go that way. The part that kills me is just like I knew that we were confident with the numbers. I knew that we could close. And, the biggest thing that I think the reason why we took it, or why I say we, the reason I took it the approach that I did at that point in time was just because I knew that we could get this done for them at the number that they wanted. And that if they went with someone else, they'd probably get less, one. And then two, they'd probably be strung along because they don't have the backings in the community and the group that we have to actually fulfill the things that we're saying within it. It's a double-edged sword too. I think if I would have said that I was wholesaling this from the beginning, we would have never actually got to be able to get to the closing table, which I feel 99% confident that we're going to be able to. So I don't know. At this point in time, majority of my calls, 99% of them, I'm letting them know exactly what's happening, transparent. This is just a culmination of that because I hated the way it makes me feel and I hated the way that it made them feel. And they were just super kind people, too, just family oriented. Obviously, I think with the sell of this, they're getting to the place where they want to go, where they can be with their grandkids. And I love every second of that. So transparency, I think that's the name of the game. I think it's critical and crucial just to make sure that everybody's on the same page. Jason Strickland, I think he's the one that said it to me. This is the double-edged sword too. He said it to me where, it's better that they deal with you than to deal with someone else, because I do have a good heart and my goal is to get it across the finish line where someone else will string them along. I think that was the approach that was in my head, that like, I'd rather them deal with me than for them to deal with someone else who is going to string them along, who's not going to be able to perform and do the things that they're saying that they're going to be able to do. So even though it didn't go the way that we wanted it to go, the process was not there. I do feel good that I'm getting the number that they wanted and that we're going to be able to close on their timeline, and that it's going to get them to where they're going to go, even though this process was just screwy and we dug this rabbit hole of lies. So that one's going to be done. I'm excited for that one to get to the finish line and get them where they're wanting to go. We go into the operational side of things for this week. I haven't changed anything. I've actually not bought any new leads this week. I've been going down my list of old leads, which is why I ended up calling back the one that's been in my pipeline for 111 days. Next week, what I'm looking at doing is turning on Red Panda for the first time. I have it all set up. I put money in there. Nick set me up so it's going in Zapier to my Resimply CRM. So we're going to turn that on for the first time, probably consistently just buy 3 leads a day for a little bit and see what's going on with that, see what kind of conversations we're having, see what kind of conversions we're having. This is an interesting concept too, because I feel that my skills in conversations have improved significantly over the last 4 or 5 months, and that there are leads that I called, 3 months ago where I missed opportunities. I missed things that I did not see or know because my skill sets were not there. In that if I had those same opportunities in front of me right now, that I probably would have been able to close them and get them across the finish line. So I'm excited to start this new venture with this new lead source, this new lead provider of the skill set that I'm at now. So that's it for this week. I'm excited for next week. I have a couple of days devoted. Kids are getting back to school pretty soon. We got one more week, and then I got the house basically to myself to make sure that I can just focus in and get some things closed and funded. So remember, stay happy, hungry, and humble, and we'll see you next week.